In this 100 days Minecraft video, I will be becoming Chainsaw Man in Minecraft. As Chainsaw Man, I will have to hunt to take down devils using my chainsaw powers. So for this video, I have 3 goals. My first goal is to become an official devil hunter. My second goal is to build an awesome house for both me and Pochita to live in. And my third goal is to find and defeat the gun devil. Can I achieve all of my goals? Watch the whole video to find out. I spawned into the world realizing I had a blood counter. But before I could do anything, I would need some wooden tools. So I broke a tree down and began crafting myself a pickaxe and an axe. I used that axe to murder a couple cows because I knew I would need some food. And right after that, I saw my first devil. I charged in with my axe trying to do some damage, and it came charging right back at me. And it did a lot of hearts, so I had to be really careful and use my skills to defeat it. Eventually, it got me down super low, so I had to run away. Eventually, I found a ravine, and this is where I would grab some stone to make some stone tools, and grab some iron as well as some coal to begin smelting my iron. Once I had gotten some iron smelted, I used it to craft myself an iron pickaxe and an iron sword, as well as I made myself an iron chestplate. This would really help me when fighting more devils. I was collecting more iron because I wanted some more armor when I heard something that sounded like thunder. So I decided to block up and investigate what it was. And when I got to the surface, it was the gun devil. This is the most powerful devil in the game, so I began to run. And I couldn't let this thing see me. I ran for a long time when I got blown up by a creeper and was on 1 heart. I looked for a place that I could go to maybe heal up a little bit. And that's when I noticed something was laying on the ground and it looked like it needed help. So I went over and clicked on it, forming a contract with the Chainsaw Devil. Now that I had my own devil, I decided to name him Pochita. And with Pochita, I chopped down some trees with this chainsaw and made a little fort for us to stay in for the night and wait out the rain. The next day, I grabbed some cooked beef from my furnace and ate it before going out. While exploring, me and Pochita found a devil, so we decided to attack it. And Pochita's chainsaw was doing a lot of damage to the devil, so after a couple hits, we were able to finish it off. I then took Pochita and went out exploring again, when I found another devil. This devil was out in the open, so I had to be careful with Pochita when we were attacking. But eventually, after taking only a couple hearts, we were able to defeat it. Soon after that, I found 2 devils, and this is my first time doing a 2v1. I almost died and got super low, but Pochita and I were able to defeat them and then head into a village. In the village, I was able to trade some clay for my first emerald, making some money. I then used Pochita and gathered a bunch of hay bales, turned those all into wheat, and made a bunch of bread for me and Pochita to eat. And by that time, it was super late, so I went inside a villager's house and went to bed. On days 5 through 6, I used Pochita and gathered a bunch of wood. Then, I looked for a good place to build a little house for me and Pochita to stay in. Once I found a good place, I began building. And it was pretty small, but it was cozy. So that night, I made myself a chest and emptied all the stuff that I had in my inventory lying around into it. After I did that, I went to check outside and it was super dark and rainy, so I went to sleep. The next day, it was about the same weather, but I had to get some stuff done. While heading to go into a cave, I encountered a bunch of zombies, so I took them all out. I then eventually found a large cave that I was able to mine some iron and mine some coal. And after getting lost, I eventually made my way out of the cave on days 8 through 10. I went back to my little house with Pochita and smelted up some iron to make myself some iron armor. The armor I made was pants. I then made myself a helmet, followed by the rest of the iron gear. I put on all of my iron armor, and me and Pochita were looking pretty good. So I went out looking for a devil, and I found one. This one was the tomato devil. So I charged in, and this thing was super quick. Me and Pochita were having a hard time trying to hit this thing. But eventually, me and Pochita were able to get away from it, turning around and landing a few attacks of our own. When I looked back, there was another normal devil. So I had to deal with this thing on top of the tomato devil. After I killed that, I healed up using my bread and then went back in to defeat this thing. I was at less than half my health, and I was getting lower and lower. So I spammed Pochita's chainsaw attacks before running away. I finally got behind a tree where it couldn't see me with all of its eyes. Pochita and I then charged in and ran in and dealt the final blow, giving me a new level of my experience. Later that same night, I came across a bunch of zombies and across a bunch of zombified devils. I didn't know where they came from, but I had to take them all on at once, just using Pochita. I'd gotten a lot of them super low, but they kept double teaming me and triple teaming me. And then, all of a sudden, I'd gotten to 1 heart. And then Pochita came over to me, and I transformed into the Chainsaw Devil. With my new powers and my new health, I used my chainsaws to defeat all of the zombies. Once I felt pretty safe, I decided to go test out all my chainsaw abilities. And I was able to slash and do a bunch of other attacks. I eventually found more zombies, and they were a piece of cake to take out with my chainsaw powers. Not to mention, I found a flurry attack that was super powerful. Eventually, I started to black out, and I passed out. And when I woke up, there was a woman standing in front of me, and she was super cute. She picked me up and put me in a car, and before I knew it, I was at some kind of facility. I walked through this door not knowing who was going to be in here, and it was the lady. She told me her name was Makima, and then gave me a task. She told me if I finished all of her quests, then I could join the Devil Hunter Association. And my first quest was to kill 10 devils, and this was super easy, so I went to go do it. I transformed into my Chainsaw Man form, and I wanted to see what I could do. And I had some awesome moves with these chainsaws. After I'd gotten the hang of my Chainsaw Man powers, I went out and searched for devils for the next few days to go kill. And it was going by super quickly. I was also able to get a new level. So I continued to use more and more of my Chainsaw Man powers, but I realized I was losing and gaining blood. After I'd killed the devils, I decided to go back to me and Pochita's house. But I knew I had to keep living so that I could build us a dream house like we had planned. So I continued to kill more and more devils, eventually getting to level 4. The more devils I killed, I realized I was getting stronger and stronger. That's when I found a dog, and it reminded me of Pochita, so I planted a flower next to him and continued to kill more devils. These were going to be the last devils that I needed before I could go talk to Miss Makima. And after getting to level 5, I spent a couple days running back to the city and finding the building that I was at before. I untransformed because I didn't want to walk around like that and talk to Miss Makima. She wanted to see my transformation, so I showed her. And I showed off a couple of my moves as well. I of course wanted to impress her, but I don't know if it worked. Makima gave me an apartment key that I would stay in for the night, and then come back to get more details on the new quest tomorrow. I found my way to the apartment, and it was massive. Pochita and I would have loved something like this. But he's gone now, so I have to keep living out his legacy. After exploring the apartment, I found the bed and then went to sleep. I woke up early and sprinted to go see Makima. She told me that the devil that I had to kill was called the Bomb Devil. But before I could do that, she told me I had to reach level 10 first. And after I got those orders, I immediately left and went to kill some normal devils. So I spent the next 6 days mastering my chainsaw abilities, finding and killing devils. And I was getting pretty good at it. And after a while of grinding, I finally was able to reach level 10. I was close to my house, so I made my way back there for the night. And it was getting super stormy out, so I decided to go to sleep. I woke up early knowing it would take a couple of days to get to the city. So after a while, I finally made my way over there, and I was super excited to see Makima. She told me that the Bomb Devil was located somewhere in the Rocky Mountains, so I had to go find and kill it. I got my orders, waved goodbye to Makima, and then left to go find this thing. Transformed into my Chainsaw Devil self, and got a bit of training in before I left as well. And after 2 days of looking, it looked like I had finally found the mountains. So I scaled my way up there to find a couple devils. And I decided to fight it, take it out before looking for the Bomb Devil. And after a while of looking, I made my way to the summit of the peak, and I couldn't really find anything, but a couple zombies. After killing a goat for no reason, I looked over when I saw a little black smudge on my screen. It had a fuse, so it was probably the Bomb Devil. It didn't look like it was very harmful, but I came in and attacked it, and this thing did a lot of damage. I didn't take it seriously, but it was actually killing me in my Chainsaw Man form. Getting worried, I had to retreat and eat some food. Even then, it was still attacking. I'd gotten super low, but eventually I was able to finish it off. It offered me a contract just like Pochita did, but after pondering it, I decided to leave it there. That night, I found a village again, and I decided to stay the night there because it was super late. Pochita and my dream was to build an awesome house, so I transformed and began to chop down a bunch of wood for my new house. After a long time of collecting wood, I had gotten a ton of it. Now I just needed to mine a bunch of cobblestone. And after a day of mining cobblestone, I had gotten a lot of stacks of it. Now I could start to work on the house. I cleared out a little area, but it was super late at the time, so I made myself a little hole that I would sleep in for the night. I dug my way out of the hole, and then began to work on the frame to my house. I built an awesome frame to the house, but I was running out of time before my next mission. So after admiring it, I placed all my stuff in a chest and then went to the village to go sleep. So the next day, I dragged myself up and then began to go look for the city. After finding it, I found the association building, and then I went upstairs to talk to Makima about what I did. So I told her I beat the bomb devil, now I needed my next mission. She told me that I needed to get diamond armor and then come back to her for more details on the mission. So I of course agreed and then decided to go back home and get started on mining this diamond armor. As I traveled home, I made it back to the shack before I saw a demon. I immediately transformed and then took this thing out because I couldn't have this near me when I was going to sleep. So I made my way inside and then I checked the furnaces to notice that there was some iron in there. So after I grabbed the iron out, I decided to make myself a new pickaxe because mine had broken. So I went to sleep. On the morning of day 41, I woke up, said goodbye to my house before going into the mines and finding diamonds. I mined up all of those diamonds, and then after I'd mined them up, I had gotten a lot, but it wouldn't be enough. So after a couple more days of mining, I found the last diamonds that I needed to make my full set of diamond armor, minus the helmet because of my headpiece. So with my 19 diamonds, I left the caves. I found my way back to my uncompleted house, and with the diamonds, I made myself a chest plate, and then some leggings, and finally, I crafted myself some diamond boots. So, I decided to put on all of my armor, and then transform, and I was looking really good. I was a lot more protected now. Due to it being late, I decided to head back to my old house because I had some stuff there, and I needed to get a good night's rest. So, I made my way inside while struggling to jump, and then I went to sleep. Days 44 through 48, I continued working on my dream house. I dug out the whole floor and then began to place in the cobblestone. And it was a lot of cobblestone. But eventually I finished and the house was starting to look a lot better. I still had some time, so I decided to place in all of the supporting walls with oak planks. After I finished that, I realized I did want the second story to be done, so I placed in the floor for that, and after that, I was sick of going back to my old house to go to sleep. So I went back to the village to see if I could grab a bed. And inside this house, I found a yellow bed. I meant to break the bed, but I ended up killing the villager. So I found this iron golem, and I didn't want it to attack me at any point, so I decided to take it out. This was going to be a hard challenge, but I was confident in my chainsaw abilities. It launched me straight into the air, but after a couple of attacks, it was no match for me. And on the way back to my house, I was looking inside my house and there were a ton of mobs. That's when I noticed a spider jockey. And these things are pretty rare, so I didn't want to kill it yet. But it was pretty annoying, so I ended up killing it. And after I did that, I was finally able to go to sleep in my new house. After that, I put away all of my building materials inside the chest, and then left to the city to go get my next mission. With my newfound diamond gear, I climbed up the whole skyscraper, and then went to go meet with Miss Makima, and I was pretty excited. She told me the next devil was the Shark Devil, and it was located in the icy oceans, and she told me to bring it back to her. I knew my mission, so I immediately left to look for it, and after many days of looking, I think I finally found the lion. So I transformed on the spot. It had been a couple days since I used my chainsaws, so I made sure that they weren't rusty, and then I looked for it, and eventually I saw something blue standing out of the ice. And it was the Shark Devil, so I immediately began to attack it, and it was attacking me as well. It was doing a lot more damage because its reach was a lot farther than mine, so I had to keep it back with my chainsaws. I could tell my diamond armor was helping out a lot, but it was still doing some good damage to me, and I was missing a lot of attacks. The Shark Devil had a lot of health, and I had been going at it for a long time now. I realized my normal attacks weren't effective, so I hit him with a flurry of attacks, and I got knocked down for a little bit. But then I immediately came back up to finish the job. Makima told me to bring this guy back, so I decided to hop on him and ride him back to the city. And he was super quick. But this wouldn't come without complications. You'd think a shark would be able to swim, but this guy couldn't. And in the process of trying to get him up and out of the water, I eventually found myself a shipwreck. So I went inside the shipwreck, and inside I got a bunch of good loot, like some rare resources. I spent a long time trying to get this stupid Shark Devil back to the association. But I finally did after a couple of days, and I left it on the front door. I went back to Miss Makima to tell her about it, and I did. And then she told me that I had to get to level 30 before I could get my next mission's details. So I knew what I had to do. I spent the next 10 days grinding out large swarms of devils. The only reason I'm able to do this is because of all my diamond armor. And I had to keep using my flurry attack. The flurry attack was working well, and I wasn't taking as much damage as I thought I would. But this was a lengthy process. So I continued using my normal attacks and in combination with my flurry attacks to get the larger devil groups. And eventually, I hit level 29, one level away from level 30. And soon after that, these last two devils, I was able to get level 30. Now that I was level 30, I was also a lot stronger too now. So I finally made my way back to the house so I could get a good night's rest. Day 68, I wanted to get some stuff done around the house. And there was a clear thing to me. I didn't have any windows. So I had to go make a shovel, and then with that shovel, I found a good spot to go mine some sand. So I mined up a bunch of sand, and then I had to come back home and make a ton of furnaces, and in these furnaces I put all of the sand, and then I used oak planks to smelt them. And all I had to do was wait. Once they were finished, I collected all of the glass from the furnaces, and then I turned those into glass panes. With those panes, I was finally able to start placing in all of the windows. And placing planks are kind of annoying and they take a long time, but it was well worth it. Because with that final plank, I finished all the windows to the house. Now I just needed a place where I could have some extra storage. So I took out some planks from the chest and made some more chests. And under the stairs would be a perfect place to have some storage. So I broke a bunch of blocks, made a whole storage area, and it was looking a lot better. Upstairs was looking pretty crazy too. I know Pochita would have loved this house. But I had to get back to my mission. So I collected some extra food and then made my way back to Miss Makima's place. It's almost like she never leaves this place. Anyways, I got to talking with her. She told me the next devil was the Blood Devil, and it was found in the Nether. So I had to go create a Nether portal somehow. The next day, by the stroke of luck, I'd found a lava pool. So I decided to grab some iron from my cave, and then I grabbed some wood, as well as some cobblestone to make myself a furnace. This would all be used in making myself some buckets, so I could get buckets of water and lava. After that, I knew I would need a flint and steel, so I found some gravel, and then broke the gravel until I got myself a flint. With all the things that I needed ready, I decided to use the iron that I got to make myself 2 buckets. One for lava and one for water, just in case I needed them. I then made myself the flint and steel that I needed to light the nether portal, and I had some extra iron and no more boots because they had broken, so I grabbed the last iron from the furnace and made myself some iron boots, just to have more armor. I went back to the lava pool with my bucket of water, and I genuinely had no idea what I was doing, but I was gonna figure it out. And with an interesting strategy, I was able to finish the whole nether portal. So I lit it up and then transformed before going inside. I got inside the nether and there were a ton of normal devils. And after looking a little more, I saw the Blood Devil. My plan was to take out the minor devils first so they wouldn't be an annoyance during our fight. So without catching the Blood Devil's attention, I started going after all of the normal devils. After most of them were dead, I went straight for the Blood Devil. And this devil was super quick and did a lot of damage. I had to be really careful about how much damage I took because my diamond armor was about to break. I continued using all of my Chainsaw Man's powers, and there were a bunch of other mobs getting in the way. I finally got a solid 1v1 versus the Blood Devil, but it was super quick and I was barely being able to hit it. While battling, my chest plate broke, so all I had were the boots I just made. So I started losing a lot more hearts a lot quicker. I had to finish this battle soon. So after retreating and eating up, I came back in and charged at the Blood Devil. I ran back as if I was hurt, and then turned around and started doing a flurry of normal attacks. And after a while, I was finally able to take it down. It offered me a contract as well, but that didn't matter. I had Pochita with me, so I went back through the nether portal and to the overworld. Eventually, I made it back to my house and went straight to bed. It was time for house renovation, so I had to make myself a bunch of oak fences to make myself a barrier at the top of the staircase. Now the staircase was looking a lot better and it was safer. And finally, I decided to put a door on my house. The last thing I really needed was a roof, so I took all my oak planks and made them all into slabs, and then began to work on the whole roof. This was by far the longest process, but after it was finished, it looked super good. The front of the house had a ton of depth, and the sides looked amazing. And on the top of the roof, I added a bunch of glass, so you can see it from the inside. The inside looks sick. Through the front door, you see a bunch of light. I know Pochita would have loved this house, so I named the whole house after Pochita. There was still one more thing I needed to do, which was craft a bunch of torches so no mobs would spawn in the house. So after I crafted them, I began placing them all over the pillars and where there was low light. And finally, the house was done, and it was looking so amazing. Now I could go see Makima about my next mission. So I made it back to the city and went inside to talk to her. She told me that I had to get level 100 before I could get any more details about the mission. I was only level 31, so I knew I had to get grinding. I started off by taking out all the devils in the city, and there were a lot of them. Eventually, that got me to level 69. And after many more days of grinding, I was at level 99, about to hit level 100. There was a swarm of devils over here, and with one last devil, I was able to get level 100. I was so happy. Now I could finally get the next mission. This was definitely the longest grind. Luckily, I was close to my house at this point, so I made my way over there using my chainsaw ability, and then I went to bed. I knew that this had to be the gun devil, so I needed to be prepared. I was low on food, so I went back to the village and grabbed a bunch of hay bales and turned that all into bread. Now that I had enough food, I went as fast as I could to make it back to Miss Makima and talk to her about the next mission. She told me that it was the gun devil, and he was somewhere in the city, so I knew what I had to do. I did some jumping jacks and warmed up before looking for the devil, and she told me good luck. That's when the gun devil appeared, and it was almost as tall as the skyscrapers around me. This devil looked super fierce, so I came charging in with the utmost caution. I only had iron armor, but I had to do this now. I transformed and began to attack the gun devil. This devil was huge, but I got in close and I ran away. It started chasing after me and it did so much damage. This gun devil does a ridiculous amount of damage. I came back in with a flurry attack and I took a bunch of hearts, so I had to be super careful. I went back in using more flurry because it was the only thing that would get me in and out of the gun devil quickly. That's when I made a huge mistake and got too close. Now I was less than half health, and it was still chasing after me. Luckily I was quicker, or else I would be dead right now. Eventually it couldn't spot me, so I ate up and tried to heal. It spotted me and I started to run away from it. I'm so glad I was faster than it. So I turned around and began attacking it, taking a bit of damage on the way. I charged back in with my chainsaws and took a ton more damage. I couldn't keep charging in aimlessly, so I had to have a plan. I went in first person because third person was really hard to attack, and I started doing a lot of damage to it, but this thing was stupidly quick, and I had to retreat back to heal up, before going right back in. This time I got some good hits without taking any damage, and soon after that, I got a lot more as well. I got too overconfident, so I thought I could 1v1 at close range, but I had to retreat and heal up. I was able to get to full health, and I started to attack it again. But it was relentlessly charging at me and doing more damage than before. So I continued to run away from it. I could see it was getting slower, so I knew this would be my opportunity. I hit it, and it was dead. Pochita and I had defeated the gun devil. The next day, Makima came out there to check the damage, and she said I did a good job. She also told me that I was an official member of the Devil Hunter Association. So I was super happy. She said I could go in for the smooch, and I did, and I achieved my final goal.